back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and I wanted to show you all a few incredible books that I've managed to pick up over the last month or two. And a lot of these I've been saving up for separately, kind of in a separate account, and I just finally pulled the trigger on some really big books, as you could tell by my stupid thumbnail. But I did want to start off with maybe some lesser books, but you know, I just felt like it was time to kind of show you some of the big books I've picked up lately. And the first one is Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. This is Rogue One adaptation #1. This is the movie poster variant cover. Very tough to find this one in a 9.8. I can't remember what the census count is for 9.8s for this book, but it's pretty low. And this is another one I picked up on kind of an alternate channel. This one I picked up on Shortbox. This is the second book I've picked up from them. Every week they have auctions going, and this is one that was at auction as part of a Star Wars auction, I think, to celebrate the Acolyte, which, by the way, has actually not been too bad. I haven't minded it too much. I hear a lot of negative comments on it, but if you just enjoy it for what it is, it's actually hasn't been so bad, too bad so far. I've only watched 2 episodes, but it's certainly not Andor quality, but it's also not nearly as bad as a lot of the groaning has been online, in my opinion. Anyway, back to this book. This is the movie variant cover. Just an awesome, awesome cover. The first appearance of Andor in comics, as well as Jyn Erso, K2SO, and Saul Guerrero, I believe. Anyway, movie variant cover, 9.8. And I got it for a great deal. I mean, I think the Go Collect fair market value is around 180 bucks. I got it for about 110 after shipping and the fees from Shortbox. So if you don't have that app for your phone, you might want to download it, because they do have auctions every week, and there's also obviously buy it now situations that are available from sellers on Shortbox. So a very good deal on that. I did have the standard cover A for this book, and I had planned on giving it away on Patreon to my Patreon members. I hope you guys don't mind, but I did give it to a local gentleman who is a collector that has gone through some really bad hardships with his family over the last year or two, and he told me that Rogue One is one of his favorite movies. So I sent that to him as a gift, and he's just been really struggling with some family stuff that I don't want to get into, but I just thought it was appropriate for him to have it. But I've tried to make it up to you guys on Patreon by doing monthly giveaways for other CGC 9.8 graded books. So I hope you guys have been enjoying those so far. Here's the other big one, though. This is a really big one. This one is Star Wars Annual #8. I picked this up on Comic Link in an auction. Very, very tough to get this one in a 9.8 with white pages. And this one came up in the last Comic Link auction, and I will be covering that in a Comic Link video that may air before this one, actually. But it did arrive safe and sound, and this one is very tough to find in a 9.8. Again, I forgot what the census count was, but it's not many. There are very few of these in a 9.8 grade. And it's one I've always wanted to get, because it just shows Vader from the Bespin duel kind of reaching his hand out, saying, "Join me, Luke. We can rule the galaxy as father and son. I am your father," type thing. So black cover, black edges, very, very hard to get this one in a 9.8 with white pages. Freshly graded, as good as it gets. This one peaked for a big number. I can't remember what it peaked for, but even last year, post coronavirus peak, this book was going for $800 to $900, and I think I paid all in about $475, maybe closer to $500 after shipping costs and things like that. But I'm more than happy to pay that. The Go Collect value is less than that, but they just come up so infrequently that I was willing to overpay. I wasn't going to lose this book over $50 or $75 or even $100. So I put in a nuclear bid and did win it at $475, and I have no regrets whatsoever, because again, this is a very tough book to find in a 9.8. I don't think there's been any 9.8 sales in a newsstand for this book. This is the direct edition, obviously, but look at that cover. I mean, that is just an awesome, awesome cover. And this is from 1983, it was really December 1982 when it came out, but it's labeled 1983 since it's an annual. So that is the only really two big Star Wars books that I've added to the collection. And I wanted to show you a couple of Batman books that are heaters. The first one is one that I've already talked about that I picked up from another Comic Link auction the month before that. So, all these pickups are the last couple of months. But this one is Batman 428. This is part of the Death in the Family storyline, a pretty iconic cover. They actually just re-released Batman 428 with the alternate ending. And if you remember, when this book was originally being drawn and written, they did a poll, and you could call in to decide whether Jason Todd should live or die. And obviously, back in 1988, viewers or readers chose to kill him off. So he was killed off in the original. Well, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, they re-released this with the alternate ending, where Jason Todd lived. And obviously he lived anyway, because they ended up writing him back in as the Red Hood. But this is just an iconic cover. Another fairly tough book to get in a 9.8 because of the black border. And there's less than, for the CGC ratio of 9.8s, it's like 8 or 9%, somewhere in that ballpark. So again, this is part 3 of A Death in the Family story, Death of Robin 2, Jason Todd. And this goes perfectly with my Batman 357, which is the first appearance of Jason Todd. And I've got another, the Batman 2, I think it's Batman 366, which is a Joker cover. That is the first time Jason Todd is in costume. So I've got the full thing. I've got his origin, or not his origin, but his first appearance, which is Batman 357, Batman 366, which is the first time Jason Todd is in costume, and then obviously Batman 428, which is his death. So that's a big one. So I'm really happy to add that one. That's one that was on my goal list. Another big book that was on my goal list for this year was a heater. That one is Batman 423. This is an iconic Todd McFarlane cover, and just truly one of those books that if you know what it is, you know what it is. And this is the first print from 1988, Batman 423, from Todd McFarlane. And if you remember, I had one of these in a what to buy video, and I said I would aim for $1,800. Well, it didn't sell for that. It sold on eBay in an auction for I think about $2,000 and change. It ended up being, after taxes and everything, about $2,200. Well, I wasn't willing to pay that. And lo and behold, on Instagram, literally a day or two after I filmed that video, Batman 423 popped up. It was freshly graded, perfect centering, perfect colors, everything. And it was listed for $1,900 shipped. And on Elite Comics 11, you can make an offer privately, which I did. I offered $1,850, which is still not cheap by any means. I understand that that's a lot of money, but $1,850 was kind of the max I was willing to pay for it. And the seller waited until after this book ended on eBay, the auction that I showed in my What to Buy video. He saw that it sold for $2,000 and change, which, again, after fees and everything, as a seller, he would be taking less than what I offered him, which was $1,850. And so he did take my $1,850 offer, and I'm very, very happy to have this. Again, I know this is that's a lot of money for most people, and it's a lot of money for me too, but it's a book that I had on my goal list for this year. Pretty much all the books I'm showing you were on my goal list for this year, and I've pretty much knocked out every single book that was on my goal list, and here we are in June. So I'm very, very happy to kind of be done with comics for a little bit. And with Hakes coming, and with some of the other big auctions coming later this summer and into the fall, I can go back to focusing on vintage Kenner stuff if I want to, if I get anything at all. But now that I've got all the big books that I really wanted to get this year done, I'm very happy. So as big as these books are, they are not nearly as big as some of the ones coming towards the end of this video. So stay tuned if you're already getting bored with what I'm showing you here. I got a couple of Spider-Man books that I need to show you. And the first one was from a Patreon supporter and friend of mine who I've talked about at length. That is Tom Hogan. He runs case shells, which, those are the sliding acrylic cases, as well as the clamshell type cases for vintage or vintage collection, 3 3/4 inch. And he knew I wanted this book, and I'm really appreciative of the fact that Tom remembered from a previous market update that I had been looking for this book. This was another book on my goal list. And he got 2 of these in a 9.8. This is Spectacular Spider-Man number 99, the first cover appearance of Spot. And you can see Spot doing his Spot thing where you can kind of basically teleport and get to Spider-Man from all the different angles. And they captured this moment perfectly in the Spider-Verse movies with Miles Morales, the animated movies. They are awesome movies if you have not seen them. So I really wanted to add this book to my collection because I just love those movies. And so thank you again to Tom for remembering that I wanted it. And he gave me, a very fair deal on this one. Again, this is Spectacular Spider-Man number 99, doing his Spot thing. This is not his first appearance. His first appearance is in the issue before, number 98, but it doesn't have Spot on the cover. So it has the Hermit on the cover, and I don't really care about the Hermit. All I care about is Spot. And this is just an awesome, awesome book. Another one that's fairly low on the census count. This was, again, the direct edition in a 9.8. This one also has the custom Spider-Man over NYC label, so that's pretty cool. And on the back it says, Black Cat, Kingpin, and Spot appearance. I've got it taped inside one of these baggies, acrylic baggies, just to protect it, Mylar baggies, just to protect the books. But thank you again to Tom Hogan. And for those of you that need either sliding acrylic cases or the 3 3/4 inch clamshells, he has those available. You can buy them directly from Tom to save money on eBay. His email is caseshells@yahoo.com. So if you're looking for any cases for your 3 3/4 inch mint on card figures. The other one I picked up when I picked up the Batman 428 was another book on my goal list for this year, and that's a newsstand edition of Amazing Spider-Man number 361 from 1992. This is the first appearance of Carnage. So again, another book that's on its way down in value. And I thought that given how much it's come down in value, and I knew that I wanted to only get the newsstand edition. They're very easy to find in a direct or a newsstand or in the second print. But, again, it's a timeless cover. I don't know what it's going to do value-wise, and I don't particularly care. I like to collect the first appearance villains, and more on that in a second, because you're going to get blown away here by a pretty incredible first appearance villains book I just picked up. But anyway, this is a Mark Bagley cover that I've always loved. And, Carnage is just a great villain. And this cover just really speaks to me. I love it. And, there it is right here. Newsstand edition, 9.8 with white pages. One thing to keep in mind on this book is that there's a lot of these that are not perfectly centered. And if you're going to buy the book in a newsstand or whatever edition in high grade, be patient and wait for one that's perfectly centered like this one. This one was also freshly graded, and it had absolutely perfect centering, but you can get a lot of weird wraps on this book for some reason. So just keep that in mind. All right, so that is it in terms of, nice books, very nice books, but nothing compared to what I'm getting ready to show you. And let's go ahead and get this thing ready, shall we? Because I'm doing all of this in one go. So I've got some really good Silver Age first appearance books that I've shown you. This is the first appearance of Kingpin this is from 1967, a pretty timeless cover by John Romita Sr. And that is, again, the first appearance of Kingpin. That's an 8.0 with off-white to white pages. I picked up that one also on Instagram in a really good deal and very fair deal. Here is the next big first appearance from the Silver Age. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 14, the first appearance of the Green Goblin. This is a 7.5 with off-white to white pages, freshly graded again. I mean, this is just an awesome, awesome book and one of the prides of my collection. So that's that. And, I've got some other first appearance books that I'll just show you briefly. This one is Amazing Spider-Man number 41. Which is the first appearance and origin, or just as the first appearance of the Rhino. His origin is actually in ASM number 43. So this is just his first appearance, but that's another timeless book. That one's in a 7.5 with white pages. So that is that. But here is the big one. And this was probably my second biggest goal list book for this year. And that one is Amazing Spider-Man #3, the 4th overall appearance of Spider-Man in comic books, and the origin and first appearance of Dr. Octopus. This is a 6.5 with off-white to white pages. And let me tell you, man, this book is the book I have been dreaming of owning. And this book and the next book I'm going to show you were the two biggest books on my goal list for this year. And I said, there's no way in heck I'm going to be able to get both of them. So maybe I'll get one. Well, I decided to settle. I decided to settle and get the next book in a little bit lower grade than I wanted to. And a 6.5 for ASM #3 is about as high as I'm willing to go on it. But this one, there's a reason why I was okay with a 6.5 versus maybe a 7, because this one is actually a 6.5 with CVA Exceptional. That's the first book I've ever owned with the Exceptional sticker. And that just means for the grade, it's a particularly exceptional copy. And you can see that by looking at it. It's really nicely centered, great colors, and it doesn't really have much chipping or any chipping on the cover. And, you know, look, this book right here is a true grail for me, even in a 6.5. And I got a pretty fair deal on it, I feel like, on Comic Link, and I'm very happy with it. And I've knocked out yet another big villain first appearance Silver Age Spider-Man book. Look at this trio. We've got the first appearance of the Green Goblin, the origin and first appearance of Dr. Octopus, and the first appearance of Kingpin. So 3 of the biggest ones out there. I think next year I'm going to probably aim for Amazing Spider-Man #9, which is the first appearance of Electro. And I wouldn't mind having ASM #6, which is the first appearance of Lizard. Those are probably the 2 biggest ones that I'd like to add next year. I doubt it's going to be this year because I feel like I've spent a ton of money on big books this year. So that is it, man. That is just an absolute beauty. And, you know, I don't know if we'll ever see a bigger Spider-Man book on my channel, at least anytime soon. So ASM #3, just an awesome cover. And, you know, Steve Ditko, look at that. I mean, that is an absolute beauty. So very, very happy to add that one. And so that is the first really big book that I've added in a little bit. And next one is going to blow your socks off, I hope. But I settled on a little bit lower grade to match this book. And this is one I've already had in my collection, a true investment grade Giant Size X-Men #1. This one was in a 9.4 with white pages. And I added that one probably back in January or February. So that was a big book. That was a really big book. But here we go. Here we go. I had to do it, right? This is the first appearance of Wolverine. Giant Size X-Men is his second appearance. But this is Incredible Hulk #181, the first full appearance of Wolverine. Obviously, his first cameo appearance is issue #180. But this is the first time he's on the cover. And this is a very big book for me. And this is an 8.5, CGC 8.5 with white pages, freshly graded again, and perfectly centered. So there you go. We've got the first full appearance of Wolverine and his first cover appearance. And then we have Giant Size X-Men, which is his second overall appearance, and the first appearance of some of the other new X-Men like Nightcrawler, Colossus, Storm, and Thunderbird. So, wow. I'm just really happy to get it. And as I alluded to earlier, I mean, I was kind of really aiming for a 9.0 for this book with white pages, but I decided that getting the ASM 3 was about as important, and I was too impatient to wait anymore. I might upgrade this book next year if I can be patient and not buy anything for 3 or 4 or 5 months, or sell off some items that I don't want anymore. But for this book, I'm very, very happy to at least get a copy, and it's white pages, 8.5. It's, I mean, truly a stunning item, and I'm not complaining about it, believe me. And I just think it was a perfect pairing with my second overall appearance. So let's do another close-up, because I don't know if we'll ever have a bigger book on my channel in terms of, you know, fair market value than this book. But this is Hulk 181 from November of 1974. 8.5 with white pages. First full appearance of Wolverine, James Logan Howlett. And then it also had a Wendigo appearance, who's right there. Wendigo. And wow, this is also the first time that the Hulk and Wolverine fight. And the second fight is Hulk number 340, which was a Todd McFarlane cover. And I've got 3 of those in a 9.8. I've got 2 directs and 1 newsstand in a 9.8. So I've got the first and the second fight between Wolverine and the Hulk. And, you know, to me, I've got it covered now, man. This is just an awesome book. And, you know, again, there's a lot of these on the census. You can find this book pretty readily available. It's just a demand issue, right? People really want this book in their collection. And so you're going to be paying a lot for it, even though it's a pretty high census count for Hulk 181. And is it a good investment? Probably not. Probably not, at least in this grade. But I've got it in the collection now. It's just a box I can check off, and I don't particularly care what the value of it does. It's just one of those books I had to get. And I didn't think I'd actually get it so soon. But again, I settled for maybe a little lower grade than I'd like. But maybe one day I get a 9.0 or even a 9.2. But I'm very, very happy with my 8.5 with white pages, and to go along with my Giant Size X-Men #1, 9.4 with white pages. I hope you enjoyed this look at some of these absolute grails that I've added to the collection. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.